Hey y'all, it's Rhegis from the MorrisMansionBlog.com. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I don't know about you, but it's still 95 degrees here and very, very humid outside. But August is almost over and it's about to be Labor Day. And that usually means for me the end of summer and the start of fall and spooky season. So what I'm going to share with you today is how I made these DIY terracotta jack-o'-lantern pumpkins inspired by Pottery Barn. They don't make these anymore, and even if they did, they are a little bit out of my price range. You may be able to get them, and that's great. But this DIY went viral last year. I made a blog post on it and it did very well, so I wanted to have its own YouTube video. I made this picture last year, but I'm going to recreate it with you in this video for my own collection, and then I will use pictures throughout the video as reference to what I did last year, and then I'll show you the end result. It's very easy, very beginner friendly, and can be done in an afternoon. So let's get to DIYing. So the first step is to acquire your jack-o'-lanterns or your pumpkins. It doesn't have to be a jack-o'-lantern, that's just what I used. I found these three at Lowe's. I think the final total was about $50, but when you compare it to the price of the original, which I think is a couple $100 for the whole set, we're still doing pretty good. And I wanted to do a set of 3. You can do a smaller set of 3. I looked on Walmart today and they had a ton of options that are very budget friendly and could be delivered within a few days, right to your door, free shipping too. So that is always an option. These are plastic pumpkins and they did come with a light bulb. I took this out, but it was very easy to remove from the little hole in the back. It just kind of clipped in, and you could light them up inside, or you could put them outside, or you could have them on an extension cord to all light up at once, or you could take them out and put a candle in them. I wouldn't put a real candle because this is plastic and that might melt, but you could put in a faux candle or like a little LED light, and it would be very, very pretty. Step 2 is going to be, once you have acquired your pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, whatever your preference, is to decide on a paint color. You can go really, really rustic terracotta with this. You can go a little more traditional orange. It's whatever your preference. I found this color from Sherwin-Williams called Spiced Cider. I thought it was perfect. It was a little bit of a pinky undertone, but it still had the traditional kind of muted terracotta hue to it, and so that is what I chose. Now that you have your pumpkins and your paint, make sure you've got baking soda, and then head home, take your paint and your baking soda, and I did about 2 parts paint to 1 part baking soda, but to be honest, I just eyeballed it and kind of mixed it until I got the texture I wanted. You can add more paint if it's too thick. You can add more baking soda if you want more texture, but just make sure it is thin enough to be able to apply to your pumpkins. You don't need a primer to put it on the plastic pumpkins. I don't think you really need a primer at all, but if you do, go ahead and add the primer before you paint your pumpkins. Now we're going to get that patina by adding on some white powder of some kind. You can use baking soda, you can use flour. I used something called calcium carbonate last year. I had it on hand when I made some chalk paint for another project, and I don't have any this year, and I didn't use that when I made the chalk paint for my hutch in my last video, but I used baking powder for this project today, and it turned out exactly the same. And I used a paper towel to apply it. That kind of rough texture that adding the baking soda to the paint gives us for our faux terracotta finish makes rough patches on the pumpkin that really give your aging agent, or your the way you give it the patina, it gives it something to stick to. So you just dab it in to your liking all around the pumpkin. And I did paint the stem and add the aging agent to that as well, because that is what my inspo picture had. Your final step is to seal the pumpkins. I did not do this last year, but they have held up fine. I just took them out of my Halloween bin that I keep in the garage, and they've lost a little bit of the white color, but they still look great. If anything, they look better because they look even more aged and patinaed. So it really just adds to the look. But if you want to protect them because you're going to put them outside, it is a good idea to use a sealant on them and just use a matte sealer so that I keep the same matte texture, but it is protected. And there you have it. Once your sealer is dry, you can place these things anywhere. If you have a jack-o'-lantern that didn't come with a light, you can add fun fairy lights or a flameless candle, an LED string light set, anything you want. Lighting these up inside or outside are so pretty. I'll show you some pictures that I took last year after I finished my first set. I think these are adorable. I just love how they turned out, and I thought that it deserved its own video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you next time for another Halloween or fall DIY. As always, thank you so much for stopping by the mansion, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.